we get the sense that there's a real collective generational talent in this Spanish team. Do you think we're entering another decade of Spanish domination?
I mean, there are certain points that allow us to think that way, not only because of of after seeing that Spain was the most talented team during the World Cup, but also when you get to analyze the youth of the players, really the whole road that they have to come. They've just started their own careers, so there are certain points that get us to think that way. This is also going to be a very difficult road because, yes, there's also France, there's also Argentina, there are also other teams. So we could think that, and I think it's fair to think that way right after the World Cup, but I would rather wait and see.
Very careful words there. Pablo, coming to you next. For you, what is it that made this team click? Because there was certainly a sense of teamwork here. And would you say there's something cultural to this Spanish winning streak?
Yeah, I think it's the key thing about this Spanish national team is that there's no big stars. They have really big players, Lamine Yamal, Rodri Hernandez, Pau Cubarsí, but the difference from other national teams we saw in the World Cup, like France, that they had Kylian Mbappe, or Argentina, same with Lionel Messi. Spanish biggest star is the whole team because they work like an engine, perfect engine, because of the coach, because of the manager Luis de la Fuente. They feel, as the Luis de la Fuente, the coach says, as a family. They work as a club team during the whole season. And that's the principal and biggest key, that they will fight and they will play for each other, for the colleague. And no matter how many minutes they play, they will do and give their best.
And moving on, just to discuss Argentina a little bit, there was a debate before the match, as you've mentioned, as to whether Spain's teamwork could overcome Messi's sort of individual genius. He is, after all, said, well, to be by many the greatest in history. And that was certainly the case. The Spanish teamwork did triumph in the end. Jorge, where do you think this game has left Argentine football? How difficult will it be for this team to come back strong?
I think that the main point now for Argentina is knowing which players are going to still be in the squad, because for most of them, this was their last dance. And once they clear which other players are going to be in the new squad, there's this new wave of young talent, captained by Nico Paz, which had a really strong season at Como. But once we know if this was Messi's last game, not only that, but also Leandro Paredes, Nicolás Otamendi, there were so many players that feel like this was their last match. Argentina's game plan throughout this whole World Cup was just trying to make the opponents as uncomfortable as they possibly could. And that led them to the final. They were not strong enough, or they didn't have that confidence or that physical edge to top Spain. But I think there's a little bit more of a road to conquer for Argentina, considering that there's no World Cup in less than 4 years. So the main point now is knowing which players are going to be on that squad and who's going to be the manager, because Scaloni also said that he doesn't know what the future holds.
Indeed, and we saw a very emotional Scaloni in the recent days as well. Pablo, I know you're in London, and there is also scrutiny over the image that the Argentinian squad sent to the world from this tournament, including after the England match. You know, we saw that very political banner regarding the Islas Malvinas, the Falkland Islands, but also, of course, after the final, where we saw quite violent scenes. We know FIFA now investigating some of the players who seem to be, you know, taking a hand to the throats of some players of the Spanish squad. What do you think of this? Has it cast a shadow over this tournament and kind of has been a sour ending to see that kind of behaviour at the end?
I believe that there's many English fans that were supporting Spain in the final because what they saw and what we all saw in the semi-finals against the English national team was really similar to what happened in the final. That's why we could read in the newspapers and one of the biggest media in the UK, as the Telegraph, in Times, in BBC, that Argentinian players were told and said about them that they were like criminals, that they were about Argentine felony, thuggery, that they were quite tough because of their commitment and how they uh, disrespect Spain in their celebration, and they were so critical, and that they didn't know how to lose, because as you need to know how to win, and I think Spain knew it. Argentina didn't know how to lose. They were world champions 4 years ago, and we could see some of these ways of being in the Argentinian players, and now we saw it again. But Lucian, that was the UK media. It's been so critical and so tough with Argentinian players.
Okay, that's all we have time for, I'm afraid. I'm sure we could continue speaking about this. Jorge and Pablo, thank you so much for your time this morning.